This is Finca Loma de Luz, and this is the farm that is attached to Hospital Loma de Luz. Hospital Loma de Luz was blessed with about 120 acres of land that goes along with the hospital. And of that 120 acres, about 45 of it is beautiful, flat, alluvial plain, and the rest of it is kind of the mountainsides that are surrounding the hospital. On that 40-plus acres, we have planted about 2,000 African oil palm trees, and those African oil palm trees are meant to produce income for the hospital to keep it sustainable. The African oil palm, this tree right here is about 3 years old, and the culture of this tree is that it will grow. These palm fronds will become about 18 feet long at maturity. This one here is probably 12 feet long. About 5 years of age, this tree will be at maturity, and 5 to 6 years of age. And during that first 5 or 6 years of its life, essentially what it's developing is its crown. This is what's going to exist at the top of this palm tree for its whole life. And so as this crown expands and as these fronds grow longer, at about year 3, or actually at about year 2, the palm begins to flower. And this particular type of palm has both male and female flowers. These flowers here are the male flowers, and then this is the fruit of a female flower that's been pollinated by this male flower. The tree can pollinate itself without the help of a pollinator. And what you see here, this top bunch here, these are immature palm fruit. In about 6 months, those will be ready to harvest. And what you see down here lower, this one will be ready to harvest probably in about a week. They turn kind of a reddish orange color. This is a ripe palm fruit. Each one of these bundles these are immature bundles. In other words, these balls of fruit probably weigh about 10 pounds. When this tree is full grown, these balls of fruit will weigh about 50 pounds. They'll have many more of these, maybe up to 2,000 of these palm fruit kernels. And inside of that kernel is a seed. Palm fruit, this African oil palm, produces 4 times more oil per acre than the next highest producing oil plant. And so in places where it can grow, it is highly valuable because it produces so much oil per acre. We will harvest these balls of fruit, take them into town, and right now we're receiving just a little under $200 per metric ton. When these trees are mature, they should produce somewhere close to about 400 pounds per year of palm fruit. And then sprinkled into that palmera full of palm trees is a lot of space for us to do other projects. And so what we'll see here on this part of the farm is trying to take advantage of that space. These chickens are 6 weeks old. They gain about 4.5 pounds in 6 weeks. They dress out to be about 3.25 pounds. We've got the first bench here where the feathers can be plucked on the chickens, and then an area where the gals can clean them and prepare them, put them in bags, and then we put them in a freezer and sell those locally, as well as provide the hospital and the children's center with all the chicken that they need. And we butcher 100 chickens every 2 weeks. And we make about $1 a bird profit. This is where they spend the first 2 weeks of their life in this brooder. Even as hot as it is here, they need more heat before they put on their feathers. And then we move them to the movable chicken pens for the last 4 weeks of their life. The idea behind a chicken tractor is basically that you're giving the chickens a bottomless pen where they can scratch and live, and as you move that pen across a field or an area, basically they're fertilizing that area for you. The advantage is, because they're in a cleaner environment, we don't have to feed them antibiotics, so we have antibiotic-free bird meat. When we first started producing the broiler chickens, I fought in my mind over how to design the chicken tractor. And the problem was I kept coming up with chicken tractors that were too heavy to move, too expensive to build, because I was trying to build these little Fort Knoxes to protect the chickens. One night I'm laying in bed, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking about chicken tractors, and I think it was a God-inspired idea where he said, look, you know what you've got scrap laying around, just build one. You're going to lose $30 in chickens if they all get killed the first day. Who cares? It's $30, take the rest. So, okay, so the next day we built the first prototype of our chicken tractor. It was small, it was flimsy. Well, it wasn't small, it was right size, but it was flimsy. And all of my friends and co-workers, all the Hondurans said, Brad, you know, that's not going to protect the chickens. They're going to get wiped out by snakes and possums. The first night I said, probably right, but let's just start with this. Well, 1,600 chickens later and no losses to any predators, what happened was that the local guys went from kind of laughing at this project to going, hey Brad, do you think you can show us how to do this at our house so that we can produce chicken for ourselves? And that to me is the best case scenario, is when we do something that's worth modeling rather than bring something and kind of insisting that it be done, but we do something and create a desire for somebody to model that work. And so we've built several chicken tractors for the guys locally. About of the 100 chickens that I get right now, we've got 10 that I brood for the first 2 weeks, and then one guy gets 5 and another gets 5, and they raise chickens for their families. What I hope to do in the future of this ministry is, instead of taking the chickens from week 3 to 6 here on the farm, is create an opportunity for locals to build chicken tractors. I raise them for the first 2 weeks, sell them 2-week-old birds that don't need the brooders. They raise them and then sell back to us the chicken that we need so that they can provide income for their family. As you can see kind of in the background, we've got this palm field out here, and we've got grass growing in the palm field. And we've either got to buy gasoline and mow that grass, or have it chopped with a weed eater, or chopped by hand with a machete and pay money. Or we can have animals eat that grass and turn that grass into meat. These sheep will grow to be about 100 pounds when we butcher them. And this spring, late winter, early spring, we had 6 babies born. 4 were males, 2 were females, so we'll use the females to increase our flock size, and the males will become food for the children's center and for the hospital. Another component of that system, we've got a flock of laying hens that are basically free-ranging. These free-ranging hens do 2 things for us. They produce eggs for the hospital and the children's center to eat. And secondly, they forage through the sheep manure, picking out all of the parasite grubs out of the sheep manure. And that allows us to use a lot less anti-parasite medicine and keep kind of that system more holistic and less chemically related. Plus, those anti-parasite medicines cost money, and it helps us only have to immunize basically twice a year instead of every 6 weeks. We call it the greenhouse, but really it's a shade house. This aluminum cloth here is actually about a 50% shade, and it doesn't feel too much like shade to humans, but the plants know the difference, and they're the ones that we built this for. The last garden we grew in here was wildly successful, and what we did was we brought the chicken tractors in here, we'd put them in place, we'd leave them in place for the full 30 days, and every day we'd add about 2 or 3 inches of straw into the chicken tractor, and the chickens would walk around on it and poop on it, etc. And by the end of that 30 days, they'd built about 8-inch high raised beds that required no digging to plant into and were already pre-composted. So basically they did all the digging work and all the composting work, and all we did was bring a little straw in. Not wanting to do that exactly again, our long-term goal was to do what's called double digging. So we've double dug this garden bed, which means that we've dug down 24 inches to loosen the soil. What we've done is we've double dug this garden bed and we've watered it, and now we're just letting it rest basically, so that instead of the gravelly soil, we've got now pretty organically rich soil that we're letting rest. We're keeping it humid. We've tried to create a perfect universe for beneficial bacteria and fungus to live in, because those are the things that are going to feed our plants once we replant these beds. So they need moisture, they need oxygen, and they need food by way of organic matter. And we've created all of these things for them. We're going to let them perk now for about 30 days to build up their population. And then we'll plant these again with tomatoes, okra, green peppers, and cucumbers for this time of year. These benches along here, they'll be used for planting palm seedlings on, and those we can use to sell and also use to help replace palm trees that we need to replace. The world is the Lord's and everything in it. You know, the earth is His, and everything that is here on earth, whether it be plant life or animal life or even us as human beings, are here to display God's glory, are here to demonstrate His provision and His love and His mercy. And so when you see your role in that life as being a steward of these things, then I think it can change kind of your attitude. For one thing, you know, if you look around you and you think, wow, I'm pretty poor, my life's not very good, I don't have this and I don't have that. But then you look around and you see all these things that God's given you to sustain yourself. It's hard to feel woe is me when you realize just how blessed you are. You know, God gives us all the tools we need to carry out whatever mission He has for our life. He gives us something not just useful to do, but something fulfilling to do in that process. You know, I'm sure that God could easily grow these palm trees just fine without our help. These palm trees grow on their own. You know, birds can eat these seeds and plant them somewhere else and the tree will grow and produce. But He gives us a role to play in helping manage that and make it more than what it would just be otherwise, and help thinking about caring for it and nurturing it. And He gives us this role that is so satisfying and so purposeful, and yet it's just a role we play. It's not us doing this work, it's us working in the role that God's put us in.